Okay, I want you guys to know just how much how much I go for you guys. If you notice, if I stop talking here, just listen. You notice the giant big ass fan is not running, and it's like almost 90 degrees outside, which means it's pushing 95 to 100 in here in the studio. So I'm doing this for you guys. I turned the fan off. I do have a little smaller fan that's running. So hopefully it sounds better and you guys quit bitching about it. So, anyways, this show's going to be a little different. Well, this show is going to be a little different than normal. Next week is when it's really going to be different. Next week, I'm going to start doing you can call it an experiment if you want, but today's I'm going to starting next week for sure, but this week I'm revamping the way that I'm doing the schedule or the content or whatever you want to call it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to during the week I'm writing out some monologues, and I only got 7 that I wanted to do for this week. Ideally, I want to get 8. That way I can do 15-minute segments with the monologue and then a new story and play an appropriate song. The way I've been doing it here was, just throwing out a bunch of news and giving my opinion on the news. And yeah, I get that can be kind of exciting sometimes, but being just one dude doing it is kind of boring. So I don't have anybody to bounce off of anymore. Because back, this is more of a structure like that John and Gary and I had back when we did Loud and Proud. We would do, comedy bits, and we'd have, conversations on topics for, set amount of time. So, Gary's too busy with the band stuff and being a rock star, and John, he passed away a year and a half ago, so really don't have him around no more. Radio Man, he wants to do it, I think, but he's busy as hell, and my time slots do not coincide with all the shit that he does, because he runs a hotel, convenience store, and food truck, and he's Mr. Businessman. But yeah, so this is going to be a little different. The reason I want to do this is because I want to chop the show up. I want to have more episodes during the week, but shorter episodes, and this I think will make it be easier for me to do if I've got actual structured content instead of just pulling it out of my ass every week. And my problem is this week, the reason I didn't start it officially this week is because I didn't think of this until like Wednesday. So I quickly wrote 7 monologues, and the topic I picked was quotes from George Orwell's 1984 novel. And what I did was I picked out 7 quotes, and I kind of wrote a fictional story and tried to tie it into the shit going on right now in the political climate and real news stories that would be able to tie into it. And I thought this would be a really cool thing to do, because then I could release, I said I got 7, I could do boom, 7 episodes. I could release one episode every week, and I recorded it all live right here on Friday night and Saturday. But yeah, Friday night show last night, that one didn't really, if you tuned in thinking you were going to hear it live, yeah, that didn't happen because my day job got in the way. I had got woken up with a work emergency at 2 a.m. in the morning on Friday morning and could not get back to sleep for nothing. And by the time I had, yesterday, Friday was meat bag Friday. So that means I had to actually go into the office and see other meat bags. And, yeah, I had big bitch. My good computer went down on me earlier in the week. Power supply died on it, which was no problem. I could still do the show because I'd used the other computer for the show. And while I was at the office, the boss is like, "Well, why don't you take that desktop home with you and use that?" I'm like, "Okay." I said it's got Windows on it, and he says, "Yeah, but Windows has got to stay on it." And I said, "Well, it just might have a different hard drive on it when I get home." And he's like, "That's fine. Just keep the other hard drive." Which, by the way, this hard drive I pulled out of it is one of those little NVMe hard drives, 256 gigabytes, and it's the size of a Wi-Fi card. I mean, no wonder Windows has problem with updates. How do you squeeze Windows on a little itty-bitty 256 gigabyte hard drive? But I digress. It's now got a 500 gigabyte hard drive in it, and I'm running my beloved Open Mandriva ROM. Yeah. And incidentally, everything you're hearing right now is coming from that computer. It is a Dell Optiplex 3000 with the 12th Gen i5 in it and the integrated UHD graphics, whatever the hell. But it's got 16 gigabytes, and I'm running with the DJ software, Markdown editor open, browser open with like 5 or 6 tabs. Going to be more than that here pretty soon. And it's running at 30% of 16 gigabytes. So it's doing a fine job. And I'm quite pleased with it, impressed with it even. The other bit of news. You realize, I don't know how long I've been talking. What, 5 minutes or so? We haven't even played the intro yet. So let's do the intro. That was a hell of a preamble.
Turn it up, feel the sound, break the chains. Your voice, your choice, no data in vain. Liberty tunes where the free arts collide. Own your story, let your soul decide. Own your data, rock your freedom loud. Sing it high, stand up proud. Liberty tunes where the truth's alive. Freedom's anthem where dreams survive.
Okay, officially, now the show has started officially. I'm sorry. I'm being texted here. I have to answer because it is the boss. Oh yeah, we are streaming live over on party.com. It's new for us. Yeah, check it out, party.com/creator/party/disrupting_narrative. That's cool. The where was that? Oh, back to the subject at hand. Update. I started a Substack. I did Substack. If you search for me on Substack, you will find 2. One of them I started like a year ago, and I never did anything with. I don't even remember what email I used to to sign up with. But it was interesting because I just wanted to follow Vigilant Fox, so that's why I signed up for Substack back then. And I was going to, do something with it, and I was like, nah, no, this ain't me. So, because I was, back then I was heavy into the Web3 blurt, or not blurt, but Hive back then, because I thought Hive was the end all be all, and turns out that Hive is no different than being on Twitter or any place else. So you want to be on blurt, but on blurt, it's fun, but it's still got the same problem as Hive. It's all the same kind of people that are just into cryptocurrency, and I'm not into cryptocurrency. I am not a crypto bro at all. So if you follow me, and because I'm talking about Hive or blurt or Web3, you're in for a rude awakening. I like the fact that what Web3 offers, but as far as promoting shit tokens, no. Shit tokens are dumb. There's no value in any of them. The only value that like Blurt has or Hive is that it is a public searchable database, and it stores text files really good. Other than that, no. There's no value to it other than that. But I can see what their use cases are for. And their use cases are not to tie people into only using a certain set of apps that are on that shit token. You really want to make Web3, make it interchangeable. Make it so that you can post on PeakD with Blurt, or you can post on blurt.blog with Hive, or ETH or Monero. Do that, and then you'll see your value skyrocket, and you'll see Web3 spread like crazy and like wildfire. But unless you have that interoperability between the shit tokens and the public database ledgers on Web3, it's going nowhere, dude. There is no real world value for it. And I say this knowing that I am streaming live on party.com, which is a Web3 place, which I get it. But my problem is that most people, and the biggest part of the Web3 quote-unquote industry, you've lost your principles and your ideals, and you just went out chasing the currency. That's not what Web3 is. Anyways, back to the Substack thing I was talking about. I'm just basically going to focus on Substack, X, and Blurt. Mostly just for my content, and to be social, I guess, to see other people and talk to other people. I have a lot of friends on Blurt. I have a lot of friends on X. I know literally nobody on Substack. But I want to go full in on it because it does offer the chance that you can monetize it, similar to Blurt. X, you can get monetized if you play by the rules with Elon, and you kiss his ass, and you say everything just right. He'll allow you to give him money to shadow ban your ass if you say something wrong. And no, sorry, Elon, that's not how free speech works, dude. I don't fight for my speech and then pay you for it and then you block it. No, ain't happening. I will never give X corporation another dollar. On Substack, I do, plan on enabling the paid subscriptions. I'm not going to do it for all of my content. What what it would be is something, like something special, like get the full 4 hours of two shows unedited, that kind of thing, and some other fancy, nice shit. Maybe I'll buy you a Liberty Tunes coffee cup or something. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. There's no paid subscriptions enabled yet. So just get over there to, what is my link? realunclebonehead.substack.com. And that may not even be the Substack that I actually do. I am actually thinking of starting a different Substack called libertytunes.substack.com. But I really don't know. I'm so new at Substack. I've got no clue. I don't want you guys to think that I'm paywalling my stuff. I'm not. It's just that over the years of doing this, online radio, podcasts, blogs, my RSS feed, that if you're listening to a podcast, you're most likely subscribe through an RSS feed. If you're not, and you're just listen to a podcast on Spotify or YouTube or some other place like that, you're doing it wrong. You need to be subscribed to an RSS feed. Because those platforms control that RSS feed. So if, like my podcasts on Spotify and iHeartRadio, I was on there for a while. I logged in one day, about 2, maybe 3 years ago, and my account was gone. My podcasts were gone. My episodes were gone on 2 platforms, mainly because Spotify fed into iHeartRadio. But I was just out of the blue, no reason given, gone off of Spotify. You can still find my AI generated music over there, but you can't find my podcasts on there. None of them. Yeah. So my RSS feed has changed probably literally 100 or more times over the since 2006. If I hear these people talking, the internet marketers, build your list, and then that moved into the podcasting. Build your list, and I either didn't understand what they were talking about, or I didn't care what they thought where they were talking about, because I see it now. I understand it now. If I had started building that list back in 2006 when I first started podcasting, I would be in the hundreds of thousands, if not a million, of people on my list by now. I get it now. I was a bonehead, but I'm not going to be a bonehead no more. So you can join me on Substack and follow me there. Get the RSS feed. I will make sure to have, Substack does give you an RSS feed. I will make sure you have the RSS feed from there. I am on Cash Garden and Blurt.media. You can get both of those RSS feeds. I don't think they will ever change unless unless the websites disappear. And I'm also on YouTube. I know there's a lot of people on YouTube still, mainly because of my Linux videos, but it is what it is. It's like 330 some subscribers over on YouTube, which is very cool. And I appreciate every single one of you. So let's That's you hear me pretty much every show talk about federated computer. I don't actually talk about them, but I put the link in the show notes in the description of the video because federated computer is freaking awesome. They're not real feds. Don't think that. They are an IT company that offers some really great solutions. I use them. I'm not sure how long. I don't know if I've been there a year yet. They're just freaking awesome. I love what they do. They're small business minded, but they can literally scale to whatever's needed, and they promote open source, and that's the good thing. So, like if something happens here in the future and they lock down the internet, they can fork an open source project and make it do whatever they need to do for their customers. You're not going to do that over at Amazon, AWS, or Red Hat or anything like that. They're going to give you a predetermined solution, and then they will, not federated, but these other companies, they will, if you cancel your shit, you're gone. Federated, I believe I heard this from David, the owner, in a podcast where he was giving a rundown of federated computer, and he said that this is what sold me actually, and what made me choose to go with them was that he said if you choose to leave federated computer, they give you all of your stuff on a virtual machine, and you can take that virtual machine and set it up anywhere you want. So like if I was to leave federated computer, they would send me the virtual machine image with all my data in it. They keep nothing. They don't destroy anything. They will send it to me, and I could set it up on my own home server. And I'd have to deal with DNS and a couple of, some IP address, changes. But other than that, my shit would run just like it did on federated computers servers. That's what sold me on federated computer, and I believe that is still their policy. But anyways, yesterday on their YouTube channel they dropped this promo, and it's cool.
Is your business drowning in software costs, tools that don't work together, and privacy risks? Meet Federated Computer, a complete business suite built to simplify your tech stack. Why do forward-thinking companies switch to Federated? No per-user fees, unlimited users. Save up to 75% by replacing tools like Zoom, Slack, Google Workspace, and more. One platform means less context switching and more productivity. 100% private. Your data stays yours. Fully customizable with open source flexibility. Whether you're a lean startup or growing enterprise, Federated adapts to your needs so you save more, work smarter, and protect your business. Ready to simplify your business software and increase profits? Schedule a free demo and see how Federated can transform the way you work. Federated Computer. Streamline, save, and scale.
The list that never was. The party that told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their final, most essential command. George Orwell, 1984. Now this isn't a fictional story. This is my thoughts on what dropped earlier this week. And I know there's been some things that's come to light since then. First there was no list. First there was a list, then there was no list. Then there was we're going to think about releasing the list. Well, we can't release the list because there's too many. It'll end, human civilization as it is. No. So this was, just keep in mind, I wrote this the day that it was, released. The list that never was. Let's talk about trust, or the lack of it. Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino, and Kash Patel, 3 names that carried weight with the MAGA faithful. 3 voices that roared about truth, transparency, and taking down the so-called deep state. They built their careers on it, especially when it came to Jeffrey Epstein. Before they stepped into power in 2025, they were loud, relentless, promising to rip the veil off of Epstein's secrets. Bondi, as Attorney General, went on Fox News in February saying the Epstein client list, the one that's fueled years of speculation about powerful pedophiles, was, quote, sitting on my desk right now to review. She doubled down in March, telling Sean Hannity that there was a truckload of evidence. Thousands of pages, tens of thousands of videos, including child porn, that she and the FBI were combing through.
DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients? Will that really happen?
It's sitting on my desk right now to review. That's been a directive by President Trump. I'm reviewing that. I'm reviewing JFK files, MLK files. That's all in the process of being reviewed because that was done at the directive of the president from all of these agencies.
So have you seen anything that you said, oh my gosh?
Not yet. We all did. And the FBI handed over a couple hundred pages of documents. But, you know, Sean, I gave them a deadline of Friday at 8 a.m. to get us everything. And a source had told me where the documents were being kept. Southern District of New York, shock. So we got them all by, hopefully all of them, Friday at 8 a.m. Thousands of pages of documents. I have the FBI going through them, and Kash is also, now that we have Kash here, it's a game changer, of course, and Kash is going to, Director Patel, is going to get us a detailed report as to why the FBI withheld all of those documents.
Okay, I want to be clear because I think people got frustrated because they were expecting more. You were expecting more, and you didn't find out less than 24 hours before the release. You got a whistleblower that confirmed that there were way more documents that they were supposed to turn over, and then you found out just before that.
Well, sure. And you're looking at these documents going, these aren't all the Epstein files. You know, there were flight logs, there were names and victims' names. And we're going, where's the rest of the stuff? And that's what the FBI had turned over to us. And so a source said, whoa, all this evidence is sitting in the Southern District of New York. Yeah. So based on that, I gave them the deadline, Friday at 8, a truckload of evidence arrived. It's now in the possession of the FBI. Kash is going to get me and himself, really, a detailed report as to why all these documents and evidence had been withheld. And, you know, we're going to go through it as fast as we can, but go through it very cautiously to protect all the victims of Epstein, because there are a lot of victims.
Well, you had identified in phase 1 over 254.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, is that the only thing that would be redacted? Will everything else be made public that you get in your possession?
Yeah, the FBI hasn't had, obviously, they haven't looked at the thousands of pages of documents that they've just received Friday. Yeah. But Kash has a team going through them, and it's always about protecting the victim. But you know what? We believe in transparency, and America has the right to know. The Biden administration sat on these documents. No one did anything with them. And why were they sitting in the Southern District of New York? I want a full report on that. You know, sadly, these people don't believe in transparency, but I think more, unfortunately, I think a lot of them don't believe in honesty. And it's a new day, it's a new administration, and everything's going to come out to the public. The public has a right to know. Americans have a right to know.
And that goes the same with the JFK files,
JFK,
RFK files,
Martin
MLK?
Luther King. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. What are the things that, and maybe some people don't understand the need to redact. In the case of a victim, that should be pretty obvious to people. What are the other things that maybe you would have to redact?
Well,
national security?
No, of course, national security, some grand jury information, which is always going to be confidential. But we'll see. Let's look through them as fast as we can, get it out to the American people, because the American people have a right to know, not only on that, but on Kennedy, on Martin Luther King, on all of these cases that the Biden administration has just sat on for all these years. So yeah, it's really. It's not sad. It's infuriating that these people thought that they could sit on this information, but they can't. It's a new day, and We believe in transparency, and it's going to come out. And when we redact things, Sean, what we're going to do is not just pull pages out like they used to do. If something's redacted, you will know the line, and you will know why it's redacted.
Sure. And I got news for you, Miss Bondi. It was a lot longer than just the Biden administration. Back to the monologue. Kash Patel, before he was FBI director, wrote books and ranted on podcasts about government gangsters, vowing to drop Epstein's files on day one. Dan Bongino, the fiery podcaster turned FBI deputy director, spent years on air hinting at a cover-up, questioning Epstein's suicide, and teasing a list that would expose the elite. They had the MAGA base eating out of their hands, salivating for justice. It became the list that never was. Fast forward to July 7th, 2025, the Department of Justice and FBI drop a 2-page memo. No client list. No blackmail ring of global elites. No bombshell arrests. Epstein, they say, killed himself. And that's that. The same trio, Bondi, Patel, Bongino, now sing a different tune. Bondi's desk, apparently empty. Patel tells Joe Rogan there's no incriminating video, saying if there, quote, if there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it? End quote. Bongino. On Fox News, Bongino on Fox News in May says, I've seen the whole file. He killed himself. The same guy who once speculated about Middle Eastern countries wiring Epstein's plane for blackmail now shrugs and says there's nothing new. The MAGA base, fed years of promises, feels slapped in the face. X lights up with a fury. Even Evan A. Kilgore calls it a lie, saying Pam Bondi lied about the Epstein files. Kash Patel lied about the Epstein files. All the right-wing, quote, influencers invited to the White House lied about the Epstein files. At Tony Highspeed brands them the trio of incompetence, listing Pam, the Epstein files are on my desk, Bondi. Kash, government gangsters, Epstein files on day one, Patel. And Dan, trust me, bro, Bongino. At RatBoyGL points out, Bongino and Kash combined mentioned the Epstein list 40 times on podcasts before being inserted into the FBI. Now the list magically doesn't exist. But then something eerie happens. The right-wing influencers, the one who hyped the Epstein files alongside Bondi, Patel, and Bongino, start pivoting, almost in lockstep. They urge their followers to let it go. On July 7th and 8th, 2025, their posts on X sound like they're reading from the same script. Liz Wheeler writes, I'm supposed to be on vacation, but it's time to fire Pam Bondi. But then softens, saying we need to focus on the bigger picture of making America safe again. Rogan O'Handley, also known as DC Drano, calls the memo a shameful chapter, but adds, let's focus on making America safe again. Mike Cernovich, after raging that nobody can even understand the memo, tweets, no one is believing the Epstein cover-up. At real Donald Trump, this will be part of your legacy. There's still time to change it. But then pivots to praising Trump's crime stats. Even the Hodge twins were on it. And I love the Hodge twins. I think they're two of the greatest dudes on X. But, they did. Trump has to fire Pam Bondi. She went on camera and told the world she has the Epstein client list on her desk. Now they say there is no list. Yet later, they urged their followers to move forward. Even Laura Loomer, who screamed for Bondi's resignation, dials it back, focusing on bigger fights. Why the sudden harmony? Were they handed talking points at that February White House photo op? Were they waived the Epstein file phase 1 binders? We all remember that picture. Those pictures they were tweeting out or posting out on X, did they turn out to be recycled public records? The base smells a rat. Wendy P4545 sums it up as Dan Bongino said that he was going to release video of Epstein's cell. Pam Bondi said the FBI had a truckload of Epstein documents before cash. Liars, each and every one. This isn't just about a list that doesn't exist. It's about a betrayal of trust, a machine that builds hope on promises of truth, then yanks it away when power is secured. Bondi, Patel, and Bongino rode the Epstein wave to the top, only to pull the plug when it mattered. And the influencers, once firebrands, now sound like they're auditioning for White House press passes. The system thrives on our outrage, our clicks, our faith in the next big reveal. But what if the real cover-up isn't the Epstein files? What if it's the way they control the narrative, dangling justice just out of reach, while the faithful are told to sit down, shut up, and move on? That's the shadow we're all standing in right now. We can't back down from this. We won't back down. The truth about Epstein's crimes isn't just a conspiracy theory. It's a wound that festers in the heart of our nation. It's obvious now many of the elite politicians, Democrats and Republicans, people entrusted with the safety and security of our country, are sick, disgusting, vile predators who preyed on innocent children. The whispers of their crimes echo in court filings, in victim testimonies, in Ghislaine Maxwell's conviction for trafficking. We, the people, need to know who they are. We deserve to know the names of those vile, rotten souls who hid behind wealth and power. This isn't about left or right. It's about light versus darkness. As Child of God 2026 posted on X, the Epstein files should have been released the moment they existed. Children were raped. People were trafficked. The elite from both sides were involved. We won't let them bury this. This fight isn't for revenge. It's for justice. Not just for the children violated on that island, but for our own children and their children yet to come. They don't deserve to be ruled by monsters. They don't deserve to be taught to trust pedophiles who parade as leaders. At Crush Woke Agenda on X put it quite plainly. If the Epstein files don't send people from both parties to prison, they're not the real files. Release everything. No redactions, no deals, no delays. Right now we stand at a crossroads where silence means complicity. The elite may hope we'll forget, but we won't. We'll keep demanding, keep pushing, because this truth isn't theirs to hide. It's ours to claim. For the victims, for our kids, for the future, we'll keep fighting until every name is exposed and every crime is answered for.
Well, you got your bucket list, your grocery list, your list of things to do. You got a list of all your wishes, that's a wish list, dude. You got your Amazon and Santa Claus and Tooth Fairy too. But I know a list that don't exist, and buddy, so do you. It's the Epstein list, it's a mystery list with a twist. It's a myth of a list that we all just missed. Be an optimist, not a pessimist. If you wish to persist, you probably ought to forget that list. What were we talking about? I don't remember, but I can sleep a lot better at night. Yeah, life can just go along, knowing there's 10,000 hours of sunshine and flowers and nobody doing a damn thing wrong. Hear no, see no, damn Bongino, Cash Patel. Well, I wouldn't wanna be a sweating man with bulging eyes. Now tell me them fellas ain't compromised. Any implicated dude will tell you, anybody on the big list knows just how far the folks in charge will go to keep the status quo. So when the war bell rings, the song that they'll sing is a song that we well know. Ow, ow, so it's off to war I go. Well, they said they's gonna fix it, but now they're all complicit. They owe, they owe, they owe, they owe, they owe. So it's off to war we go. Well, and the poor off the war. What else are we for? They owe, they owe, they owe, they owe.
Visions of our founding fathers lost. The upper crust united, lines were crossed. We somehow rose above the rules and played the rest of us for fools. And now we're stuck here wondering how our freedom died. We the people need to take command. We the people got to have the upper hand. Now we're on a treadmill day to day, handing over half our hard-earned pay. They spend it all on foreign soil. We don't have a say at all. The congressmen are useless when the president's a king. We the people rise and hear the call. We the people stand united, one for all.
What a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object. Evinces a design to reduce them under absolute nepotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government, to provide new guards for their future security. Want our rights back. We the people. We're gonna fight back. We the people. We got a solution. We the people. Want our rights back. We the people. We're gonna fight back. They're tearing up our Constitution. We the people. What's coming? We the people. Want our rights back. We're gonna fight back. They're tearing up our Constitution. What a revolution!
Uncle Bonehead is on RLM radio. Own your data and rock your freedom. Faith in faith, thanks to the institutions that sell what's not for sale and fill our heads with grand illusions. I lost my trust in trust, thanks to the men in power. They say what suits their needs and change your stories by the hour. I don't believe what I'm told. Question everything. corporations. The wealthy weave their web and plan their global domination. I don't watch news for news. It's mass manipulation. And nothing seems to change thanks to public education. Question everything. Question everything. Question everything. Question
Those two songs, We the People and Question Everything from the Ism, I kind of thought those would go really well with talking about the the Three Musketeers of the Epstein list. Yeah, we're done, guys. The American people, we're just done. Not only did you screw MAGA, first you screwed the libertarians because, you know, without them, I really don't think Trump would have gotten the vote. You also screwed half of MAGA, and it's really sad. So that was a taste of what I was talking about with, you know, doing my new, whatchamacallit, content or format of the show, what I want to do. So I think I'm going to stick with that. I've got, along with that, I've got probably a good 10 links that I took to wrote with that. Now, I will say I'm going to go ahead and read the other 6 monologues that I wrote this week, simply because it goes with the whole 1984 quotes concept of this show. But I do not have the links for them, so they won't be in the show notes. And I also don't have clips like I had a couple of clips for the list that never was monologue. And I'm going to blame it on Big Bitch power supply dying on me. It's because, you know, I did set up this other computer and I didn't even think to grab the hard drive out of Big Bitch. This was an extra hard drive that was in Little Bitch. And so, yeah, I didn't have time between writing 7 monologues on Monday and Thursday, and then being up for over 24 hours on Friday to get to today, because I did sleep sometime, and I slept great last night. This morning, wow, I went to bed probably 2-3 o'clock in the morning this morning, and I didn't roll out of bed till like 10 o'clock, and it was, oh dude, it felt good. So anyways, we're gonna do some news for the rest of the show. Well, for a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm gonna try to keep it till an hour and an hour. So I've got 8 minutes. I'm gonna throw some important news at you. Yeah, there's some of this news we have to talk about. There's no doubt about that. That's a fluff story there. Let's start it off with Gemini. Thank you, Google. This is coming from Bauerbytes Labs. Bauerbytes.com. No thanks, Google. No thanks. Google lets its Gemini AI access your apps, including your text messages. If you're an Android user, you will need to take action if you don't want Google's Gemini AI to have access to your apps. That's because regardless of your previous settings, Google now allows Gemini to interact with third-party apps. This is July 12th that we're talking about this, and this happened on July 10th, I believe. They quietly did this. Through Gemini extensions, it already had the ability to integrate with apps that lend a helping hand and make Google Assistant obsolete. From an email, the author Peter Arntz in April got from Google back in April. You got this in April, and you're just now writing a story about it on July 8th, 2 days before. Fucking prick. Anyways, from the email, Gemini uses info from your devices and services to help you. Gemini uses this info to provide more customized and context-aware help. Gemini accesses certain system permissions and data, like call and message logs, context to help you keep in touch, and screen content to help you act on it. Side note, I saw a great meme. Was it yesterday? And it was a picture of Pam Bondi, and it's saying she doesn't have the list on her desk anymore. They're all in her phone, and it's called contacts. I was like, dude, that's a great meme. That's a great meme. Okay, anyways, back to the story here. Gemini works with apps. Gemini can respond with real-time info from other tools, apps, and services like Google Keep and YouTube to allow connected apps to generate helpful responses. Gemini shares some of your info with them. You can manage your apps in your settings. Then further on in, it said Gemini activity and your choices. When you use Gemini, Google collects your activity like your chats, including recordings of your Gemini live interactions, what you share with Gemini, like files, images, and screens, product usage information, feedback, and info about your location. This data is stored in activity. If it's on, reviewed by trained reviewers, and used to improve Google services, including generative AI. Did you catch that part? This data is stored in activity. If it's turned on, reviewed by trained reviewers. Your personal data that Gemini, that they didn't bother to tell anybody about until just before it went live, and they made this change. Your personal data is getting sucked up from other apps, including your text messages apps, and it's in the front of the eyes of real humans. So not only is Google really double fucking you, they're triple fucking you by fucking with your data. Back to the story. The bit about trained reviewers was enough for me to decide against using it. There are many AI options that offer a lot more privacy. The bit... Hang on. Thought it sounded like I could hear somebody knocking on the door. Might be the dog trying to get in. Anyways, the bit about trained reviewers was enough for me to decide against using it. There are many AI options that offer a lot more privacy. But now, according to Ars Technica, Google has sent an email to Android users that takes it one step further. This is from the screenshot. We've made it easier for Gemini to interact with your device. We're updating how Gemini interacts with some of the apps on your Android device. What's changing? Gemini will soon be able to help you use your phone, messages, WhatsApp, and utilities on your phone, whether your Gemini app's activity is on or off. Read more about how you can manage and delete your Gemini app's activity, what this means for you. This change will start automatically rolling out on July 7th, 2025. If you don't want to use these features, you can turn them off in the app settings page. If you have already turned these features off, they will remain off. For more details on how these features work with your pet data, please see the Gemini Apps Privacy Hub. Again, he quotes it here. We've made it easier for Gemini to interact with your device. We're updating how Gemini interacts with some of your apps on your Android device. Gemini will soon be able to help you use your phone, messages, WhatsApp, and utilities on your phone, whether your Gemini app's activity is on or off. And then he reiterates, that it was rolling out on July 7th. Note, he says here, note, I did not receive this email and the Gemini app is not on my phone. That could be because I'm using a Samsung phone and Samsung offers Bixby as a virtual assistant. It might be my location. Sometimes Europe gets these features later, or potentially the phone is too old. It's 2000. His is a 2019. I used the Google app, the Google Gemini app, and I did not get that email. While Google presents this as a happy news, we're not full in the agreement. Google enabling Gemini to access third-party apps promises exciting AI-driven features, but also introduces significant privacy, security, and control challenges. Android users who want to protect their data and limit AI access should check their app permissions and disable unnecessary AI integrations. However, it turns out this is not easy. First off, there is a contradiction in Google's statements. In one place it says, the change will automatically start rolling out and will give Gemini access to apps such as WhatsApp, messages, and phone, whether your Gemini app activity is turned on or off. But in other place, it claims if you already turned these off, they remain off. It's confusing. And even well-versed users are having problems finding the appropriate settings. All we can do is advise you to make your own informed decisions as much as you can. If Android introduces notifications or permissions prompts for Gemini access, pay close attention and deny access where possible. Regularly check app permissions and settings, privacy permission manager, and revoke permissions that are not essential, especially those related to sensitive data, contacts, messages, microphone, camera. If possible, keep your Android OS and apps updated to benefit from security patches and improved data privacy controls. Don't underestimate the importance of an active anti-malware solution for your Android phone. If Google wants users to be happy about new features, then we'd prefer it announce them and then explain how those who like them can enable them. Don't turn on settings that we've never asked for. On July 9th, he did an update here. Google reached out to him to shed some light on the confusion. The spokesperson stated, this update is good for users. They can now use Gemini to complete daily tasks on their mobile devices, like send messages, initiate phone calls, and set timers. While Gemini apps activity is turned off, with Gemini apps activity turned off, their Gemini chats are not being reviewed or used to improve our AI models. As always, users can turn off Gemini's connection to apps at any time by navigating to gemini.google.com/apps. So you can still use it to do your stuff, but it doesn't put that activity in front of a real human to review. It's fucking stupid. Anyways, additional information provided by Google. Previously, connecting apps like WhatsApp or Google Messages with Gemini required the Gemini apps activity setting also be turned on, which means your interactions were saved and may have been used to improve their product and train AI models. Now you can choose to use these apps with Gemini even while Gemini apps activity is turned off, but you remain in control. As stated on the Gemini Apps Privacy Hub, Gemini Apps activity is off. Your future chats will not be reviewed or used to improve machine learning models unless you choose to send Google feedback about your chats. When this setting is off, as a reminder, your chats are saved in your account for up to 72 hours, whether Gemini Apps activity is on or off. Google uses this data to provide this service, maintain its safety and security, and process any feedback you choose to provide. 72 hours when you got it turned off. If you use it with your activity turned off, it's going to keep what you used it for 72 hours. You can always easily control what apps are connected to Gemini, which is also found in the Gemini settings menu, gemini.google.com/apps. If you disable any of these app connections, Gemini will not have access to information from the apps, regardless of your app's activity settings. I will have some text, a little note in the show notes in the description telling you how to straighten that up. I said I was going to try to keep this, at an hour. Shit, that didn't really work. So let's finish this hour off. Okay, I'm 4 minutes over. Whoop-de-doo. Let's finish this off with a brand spanking new one that I wrote. It's been this song. These lyrics have been around for since November or so. It was about election time, and I never was happy finding music to go with it because I wanted it to be a Mirror Nocturne song. I wanted it to be a female singer, and it just didn't work. It didn't work. But this, I threw it into Suno, the 4.5 model or version, and I spent probably a good 3 or 4 hours trying to get this the way that I wanted it, and I killed a shit ton of tokens doing it. So check this out.